Thanks so much. So we are working to understand what the impact would be here in South Carolina if sequestration happens. Jay Ragley with the South Carolina Dept of Education is here with us now to talk about spending cuts and how they could hit home for South Carolina schools. And Jay, we saw Steve Handelsman package. They still have until Friday to try and work out some sort of deal. Even if it takes effect, it would not be until this fall. But if this happens, how much federal money does South Carolina stand to lose?
Sure. So one large pot of money is Title I funding, which goes to our schools that have high amounts of poverty, children in poverty. We would lose approximately $12.5 million out of $263 million in Title I funds. That's about 5% of the total amount of money received. So if you had a Title I bank account, you had $100 in it, the next day you'd have $95 in it.
So I know for a lot of schools, you know, we do stories on education all the time with no matter what school you talk to, that they're struggling to make ends meet. What kind of impact could that be at a school? Because I know it's really up to local districts on how to absorb any losses that may come.
That's right. So the local school district will make a decision about how to spend those dollars, and some portion of a teacher's salary might be Title I funded, so they'd have to find another way to fund that. They might have a parent night that they use Title I for. They'll have to use other funds to do that. So the school districts will have to manage the cuts as best they can. They can also take it out of administration, so perhaps less travel or perhaps less, catered meals for professional development day, something like that. But they can find a way to shift dollars from the administration of Title I, let's say, and put it into Title I services.
And I know for a lot of teachers and parents watching for that matter, they want to know the bottom line. Could there be layoffs as a result of this?
It's possible, depending upon how much the district receives Title I funds. That could determine their structure, and so it's possible that someone could lose their employment if enough Title I fund is cut, but we don't really know yet until Congress either acts or doesn't act, and school districts right now are just building their budgets for the fall, and these cuts wouldn't take effect until the fall, so we don't really know yet what the effect would be on employment.
And when you look at programs overall, what types of programs could be impacted? I know you talk about this Title I money, but what types of programs are we looking at?
Sure. So in some of these Title I schools, we have special reading programs or reading interventionists, or they may buy diagnostic tests to help gauge where students are in mathematics. Those type of things could be subject to a possible reduction if the overall Title I pot is cut.
And I guess the other question is, and this might be the multi-million-dollar question, is there any way that this funding can be made up if South Carolina loses this federal dollars?
There's no way to make it up at the state level, but the General Assembly Ways and Means Committee did increase the base student cost last week in the proposed budget for next fall. So it's possible that there could be a rise in state funding while there might be a small decrease in federal funding, and it could all wash out in the end. But we'll know more in May when the state budget is finalized, and then whether or not the sequester is enacted.
All right, and we'll keep an eye on see what happens on Friday. Jay, thanks so much. We appreciate the insight.
Thanks for having us, Judy.
All right.